El son cubano.
Hello everyone, welcome to our series of tips and advice for leaders and followers. We are going to give you, from our experience, from what we heard from our in-person classes, our online classes, our clubs, our social dancing, and from our own personal perspective, as well as from our students and all the things we hear all the time. My name is Jeff Tarpinian, and this is
Scarlett Sherwood,
and we're from Incognito Dance. So let's get straight into it. So we'll start with from a leader's perspective, and then we'll go into what we think is important for the followers. Okay. So the first thing that Scarlett came up with was connection.
Mm-hmm.
So what we mean by that is, it's not just how you connect in terms of personality, it's how you actually lead your moves, how you hold your frame, how you hold your structure, how you understand what's important for the lady in terms of what moves work for her.
So I just think it's really important to have a good connection all around, because if you don't, the ladies will feel like you're gripping her hands too tight, you're dragging her around, being very rough, when your lead doesn't have to be so harsh. It can be very soft. As long as you've got a good frame and connection, then the follower will read a softer lead, but it will be clear to her at the same time.
Absolutely. So from our perspective, connection is one of the first things we teach in our beginners classes, but we're constantly reminding people throughout all the levels, from improvers, intermediate, advanced, and you find that if something goes wrong in someone's leading, connection is usually in the top 3 reasons why it's gone wrong. Either the guy's lead is too heavy, or it's too light, or it doesn't exist, or there's a huge problem with it. So guys, really work on your lead, and like, even if you've been dancing a long time, always have a check on your leading technique. And sometimes it's just good to ask the ladies, how was my leading? And they would, a good experienced lady will tell you, yes, that was this, and just give some tips and advice. And there's nothing wrong with asking a teacher or a friend, these kind of tips. Okay. So that was tip number 1, connection. Tip number 2, we found one of the most common problems. This is much more obvious in beginners because you kind of expect that. It's timing. Now, timing is something that is really it's so fundamental to how we're moving, because we're synchronized not just between us two, but the music is telling us the pace, the tempo, how quick we can do the moves, how slow we can, when we have space, when the music changes from chorus to verses, into break sections. We can change our dancing, the moves, the style of the dance we do. So it's certainly a powerful tool in your leading. If your timing is really strong, very easy to start communicating all your moves to your partner, and it keeps things much more simpler and calmer.
Yeah, and I think as well, a lot of leaders get so engrossed in remembering the moves and trying to complicate their moves as well, that they're not actually dancing on time. And the whole part of dancing is that you're expressing the music, and if you're not on time, then you're not really enjoying the dance. You're just too in your head, I think, and it's much nicer to just get that nailed first. Absolutely.
So that was tip number 2, timing. Number 3, this is kind of quite a tricky one, because in different venues you have different spaces. So spatial awareness of your partner is super important. So when you're in a dance hall, some clubs are really big, so you have loads of space. And some clubs are really small, or they're really busy and you don't have much space. So spatial awareness is one of the secrets of a top dancer. They know how to find space. If you look at a dancer, not just social dancing, it's also in classes. We see this all the time. People who are not aware of their spatial awareness, who's behind them, who's ahead of them. If you're going to do a lead with your partner, and then you turn around and you realize that there's someone else standing there, that means you're not aware of what's happening around you. So pay attention to try and always keep an eye out, using your peripheral vision. Is it safe to lead your partner into this particular space? So spatial awareness on the dance floor is super important, but also spatial awareness in the sense of how close you can be with your partner. Some ladies are not comfortable with men being super close. Yes, we know salsa is a sexy Latin dance, but some ladies just don't feel comfortable being that close with you, maybe, you know, at that time of the, in that evening, you know. So you have to be aware of, you don't just invade their space. You kind of start off, and a girl with using her frame can dictate how close a guy can be.
Yeah, and if you feel that she's slightly pulling away, if she feels uncomfortable with you, you'll feel that she's slightly pulling away, and don't resist against her doing that. Just let her, and you know, and then do a combination of more open movements rather than closed hold movements.
Yeah. So always kind of be mindful of your environment, of where you're dancing. And sometimes I see people dancing on a floor and then the floor changes and there's like a step, or it changes from wood to carpet, and they keep transferring over without actually being aware of the change of the floor. So be spatially aware of your environment as well as the space between you and your partner. If the girl is comfortable with you being close, then you can dance close. If she's not, then use your techniques to kind of do all the sequences from where is what this class comfort zone. Okay, number 4. So with this one, it was quite tricky because it's, guys learn loads and loads and loads of moves. Like one of the first things I hear from guys who want to learn to lead is they want to learn loads of moves, and they think that by learning loads of moves, they're going to impress the ladies. And I kind of get that, because it feels like you think you're going to get the ladies bored if you do the same moves over and over again. It's actually not true. One thing I hear a lot from the ladies is they prefer a guy to do 3-4 moves really well, then just throw them 100 moves as quick as possible, and I hope they don't notice that you're nervous or confused or out of time.
Yeah, definitely. I think again, like we said before, when you focus so much on throwing so many different combinations, and especially spins, it's just like the girl has to try and keep up with it. I mean, which is fine if she's advanced, but at the same time, you want to enjoy the dance. It's so much nicer just to enjoy the music and have a little bit more of a simple combination rather than throwing a million spins at the girl, because it's just, you know, it's not nice to be spun 24/7.
That happened to you recently, right?
Yeah, it did. And and it's just like, it just makes you think, oh, I don't really want to dance with that person again. So yeah.
Yeah, so guys, so number 4 is really about quality more than quantity. Don't think of it as, yes, you've got 100 moves, let's do all 100 in the same dance. Think of it as, you know, which moves is the girl responding to well. If there's some moves that she's really struggling with and she can't do it, don't keep repeating it until you think she's going to get it. Quickly bail out. If she's struggling with it, maybe she doesn't know that technique yet, or maybe she's not, you know, maybe she's tired, or the technique's too hard for her at that time. So always adjust your moves and focus on the quality of the move, more the actual play with the music, the musicality of the song. You know, far nicer, I hear this so many times, ladies would rather have a man who's got 4 or 5 moves done well with a lot of play and fun and a smile and musicality, than really trying to throw them all in there. So quality, not quantity. So the last one was, to me, was kind of like one of the first things I think of, and one of the things I hear girls complain about more than compliment guys on. Okay, and this one is hygiene. Hygiene on many levels, not just in a sense of, you know, like a lot of times guys come out really smartly dressed and they have had a wash, they're perfectly clean, they've had a shave, they look great, but then an hour into the dance, they are hot, they're sweaty, their hair's dripping, there's sweat everywhere, which is a great sign they've been dancing. But after about an hour, that guy is not appealing to a lady anymore. You know, like you walk up to a girl and you're dripping in sweat, you ask her for a dance. I've heard the reactions from ladies, and no matter how good the guy is, they would rather pick a guy who's like a beginner and at least looks hygienic. So as much as you might come out clean, try and stay clean through the night. washing hands. I know it sounds simple, but washing hands, using hand gels, especially nowadays, and even like a change of t-shirt, change of shirt, change of t-shirt. What used to be kind of quite trendy, and I don't see it so much now, is guys walk around with towels, little hand towels, little facial towels, and have a quick wipe, and you know what, that, you know, and a little spray deodorant goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think there's been times where I've danced with people who are dripping in sweat, and if you know that you're sweating, so don't start doing these very close movements and then put your sweat onto the follower, because it's really
super gross, right?
It's very gross. So
yeah. Just to summarize, the top 5 important things for the guys, we have put them in the list below on the channel. If you just go down below, we've kind of put like header points. It's number 1 was connection. Focus on making sure that your lead technique, hook and pin, understanding structure, your basics on time, and the way you connect with your partner. No pulling, no pushing, all that. Timing, really important, number 2. Number 3, we talked about spatial awareness. Number 4, quality more than quantity. Don't think of 100 moves, think of 5 done well. Okay? And finally, hygiene. So those are the top 5 tips for the guys. Let's move on to the ladies.
So now we're going to talk about, from the followers' perspective, what are the 5 top tips we have for the followers. So to start with, I'm going to talk about connection and technique. So again, you want to have a really good frame, and by doing this, you're able to read the leader's moves so much more clearly than if you've got spaghetti arms, as we say. You'll feel like you're being dragged around, and the leader will also feel like he's dragging you around. So it's really important to make sure that you've got a really good strong frame and connection. And also, you don't want to grip the leader's hand so tight. You want to make sure you've got a nice hook, but you don't have to hold on so tight. It's just, you know, it's uncomfortable for him. It makes it very awkward for turns and spins and things like that. So yeah.
In our classes, we always talk about hook and pin technique. Hook and pin technique is when the lady has the hook and the guy pins in there. At no point is there ever a grip. It's more a case of the hook and pin is like a backup to like a magnetic connection. So the connection is more like it's almost a soft touch with the hook and pin as a backup. Okay, so always trying to think of it. I mean, if I get asked in class by a lady, how is my leading, how is my following in terms of that, one of the first things I think about is how is her connection. And I've danced with ladies who are quite big, and they still can move like butterflies. They are super light and they fly around the dance floor because their response time to my lead is super quick. And then I've also danced with ladies who are very tiny and frail, and you know, even the smallest lady can feel really heavy if her connection is not responding to your lead. So it doesn't matter how big or tall or small or thin you are, if your connection is good, you will feel super light to the guy. It should just feel like an extension to the arm.
So ladies, it's definitely a fundamental technique, and it's something as well that once you're conscious of it when you're dancing, it will always improve over time, and the leads will definitely notice a difference as well.
So the second one for the ladies is backleading. This is something I see quite a lot, especially with ladies who are experienced. They think by helping the guys lead is actually helping him when it's not. Far better to just stay responsive.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's that anticipation of you think you know what the next move is, but if you're dancing with an advanced lead, a lot of the time he's gonna completely throw you off. So you need to try and get out of your head that you know what's coming, because yeah, if you just try and forget about what you know and if you just concentrate on your frame and connection, then that will help you, follow a lot better.
As the guys get more and more experienced, you'll find, especially with me, is that I don't know what I'm going to do 1 or 2 moves ahead. I'm actually constantly, as I lead, my next move comes out depending on what my follower does to me. So a lot of time I don't just lead. Sometimes I'm listening to, has she picked up the current move? Instantly I'm switching into a new turn pattern or sequence. If that doesn't work, I'm instantly going to another one. So if a girl tries to predict me, it's like, I don't know how she is, because I can't predict me. I always respond to the follower. So as many times I lead, I also follow at the same time. As I'm leading my move, if the lady hasn't got it, I will switch my move instantly to protect my partner the whole time.
So point number 3, we have structure. So a lot of ladies might drift off their lines a little bit, especially if they're turning or spinning and they're not spotting, and they'll drift off, and it makes it quite difficult for the leader to then lead you, especially if, you know, he might have a sequence that he might want to lead, and by you drifting away, that's like, you know, taking that out of the situation. He might not be able to do what he was planning on doing. So it's important that you keep yourself in balance by always like maintaining a strong core, again with your frame and connection. You want to just improve on these things, and again with the spotting once you're doing your like inside turns and things, and that will just help you keep on the line.
So the fourth one.
Oh, the fourth one, yes, overstyling. So as much as followers we want to focus on styling and making our free hands look nice, we also have to remember that the leader is going to want to use our hands at some point. So you want to, although you want to style, you also need to make sure that your hands are available to him. Otherwise, you know, they'll constantly be in styling, and he might not be able to, you know, do the patterns that he wants to do.
To me, this is quite a tricky one, because I actually encourage ladies to do as much styling as possible. Be brave, be experimental. So in many ways, I'm quite forgiving for the ladies who are in the more early stages, beginners, improvers, start walking into intermediate levels. I like the fact that they're trying to do styling. It's far more beneficial for the lady to keep experimenting. But just be aware, if you're doing styling and it's not working with 1 or 2 guys, then okay. If it's not working with nearly most of the guys, there's something wrong with your styling technique. Always ask teachers, ask advanced dancers who can be quite helpful. You know, any teacher who knows styling techniques will be able to give you good advice. But I would say, if you've learned a styling technique, put in one technique at a time. Don't try and throw an entire 16-bar styling sequence into a dance straight away. Add in something simple, like keeping your arms out more often. Hold the styling a bit longer.
Yeah, and I think if you just focus it, you can hold it until the end of the bar, but at the end of the bar, I'll always bring my hand back in so it's available for the lead to then use.
Number 5?
Clothing. So whether it's more not inappropriate in the way it looks, but inappropriate for dancing in. So you might have something that's, you know, very maybe long and flowy, or something that's you're going to be conscious of, whether it's a short skirt and you're always pulling it down when you're dancing. So when you try on these outfits, you want to just, I always dance in them first a little bit on my own, just to see how they move. And if it starts to ride up, then you know that's going to be annoying. And you're going to have to keep taking your hand away from the leader to pull your skirt down all the time. And it's annoying. It's annoying for you. It's annoying for him.
It happens a lot. I mean, it's the girls look amazing, and then they go on a dance floor, and it could be the skirt's too long or too short, or it could be that the top is too loose, and it keeps going, and that'll just make the ladies feel uncomfortable. So for the ladies, if you're uncomfortable wearing what you're wearing, you're not going to be concentrating on the song, not going to concentrate on the leading, not concentrating on anything apart from what's happening to your clothing. So it's just going to put you off your own dancing. So when you're choosing clothes for dance, anything from, let's start from the bottom up, starting from your shoes. If you wear shoes that are too heavy and not dance friendly, they're going to just put you off. It's not only dangerous for you, you could twist ankles. Sometimes ladies come in and the heels are too high, right? They're too high for them. They look great when they're on the shop and they sparkle really well, but are you ready for super high heel shoes? You know, so test them out first, see what works for you. Like Scarlett said with the skirts, if it's too long, it'll keep catching everywhere. If it's too tight around the knees, it won't allow you to open up enough. If it's too short, you're going to be conscious that it keeps riding up. Top's too low, and going to the top, the hair. Sometimes I've seen girls beautiful long hair, all tied up, in a ponytail, and right at the end, there's like a heavy hairband. That could be like a whipping tool for the guy's face. How many times has that happened?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Happens a lot, right? So girls think the hair looks great, but as soon as you turn and you do a spin, 2-3 spins, that's a guy being whipped 2-3 times. So ladies, just be kind of mindful of from top to toe how you're kind of dressing. It's for you to be comfortable so you can dance all night. If you find that the clothes you're in get really hot, like if you wear too many woolens, wear lighter clothes. Having a change of clothes is super important as well. That can also be handy.
Girls sweat as well.
Yes, they do. So just to recap on the top 5 things.
Yes, so we spoke about connection, having a good frame, so you can follow the lead a lot clearer. It's a lot clearer and louder for you to follow when you've got a good frame as well as the lead as well. We also spoke about backleading, so try not to anticipate the moves that are coming to you. Try and just rely on your body to read what's being told to you. And structure. You want to just try and make sure you're staying on the line. So if you find yourself going off balance, you want to be conscious of your frame, keeping your core strong. What else did we speak about? Overstyling. Yes. So as much as it's nice to style, and you do want to focus on styling the hands that are free, always bring them back in afterwards so they're available to the leader for the next move. And lastly, we spoke about clothing. So always just make sure that you're comfortable when you're dancing, so you can express yourself the way that you want to. And yeah, if you do want to put your hair up, I always just put mine in a bun. I just think that's the easiest option. It's not gonna hurt anyone. So
guys, I hope you kind of got something useful out of this. For us, it's just, these are kind of just the 5 things. We can mention 5 more, but these come up quite a lot. So this is just going to give you tips and advice on to get the most out of your social dancing, get the most out of your classes, make your experience of going out much more pleasurable, so you can really enjoy the dancing like we do. And we hope to see you in our clubs one day, or if you join us online, you're welcome to kind of come see us. We are Jeff Tarpinian and Scarlett Sherwood from Incognito Dance.